Automobile engineering is the branch of engineering which deals with designing, manufacturing, mechanical mechanisms, as well operations of automobiles. In this section, we will deal with certain important questions pertaining to automobile engineering. As such, what is the importance of thermostat in the cooling system of an engine? What is the main difference between petrol engine and diesel engine? Differentiate between scavenging and supercharging. Why more lubricating oil is needed in two-stroke engine than four-stroke engines? What causes white smoke in two-stroke locomotive engines, and many more. What are the various types of brakes? There are three basic types of brakes: hydraulic brakes, electric brakes, and mechanical brakes. Hydraulic brakes, as their name suggests, use a fluid medium to push or repel the brake pads for braking. Electric brakes use electrical energy to delete or create a braking force. What is the importance of thermostat in the cooling system of an engine? The thermostat is like a valve that opens and closes as a function of its temperature. The thermostat isolates the engine from the radiator until it has reached a certain minimum temperature. Without a thermostat, the engine would always lose heat to the radiator and take longer time to warm up. The answer to this question would be thermostat makes sure to keep the engine cool at the optimum level. It prevents decreasing the overall efficiency of the engine. What is the main difference between petrol engine and diesel engine? The main difference between diesel and petrol engines is that petrol engines use spark plugs to ignite the air-fuel mixture, while diesel engines rely solely on heavily compressed air. The answer to this question would be, in petrol engine, the ignition is initiated by the spark plug, but in diesel engine, the fuel and air mixture auto-ignites after reaching a certain temperature. What is a water jacket? Water jackets are water-filled casings that wrap around devices that require cooling. Inlet and outlet vents allow water to circulate. For industrial applications, water jackets are most commonly found in reciprocating piston combustion engines. The answer to this question would be, water jacket is a water-filled casing. The water in jacket may be circulated by a pump. They are used for cooling purposes of condensers, water-cooled IC engines, and many more. Differentiate between scavenging and supercharging. Scavenging is a process of flushing out burnt gases from engine cylinder. By introducing fresh air in the cylinder, before the exhaust stroke ends. Supercharging is the process of supplying higher mass of air by compressing the atmospheric air. The answer to this question would be: in scavenging, the burnt gases from the engine cylinder are pushed out by the fresh air before the exhaust stroke ends. Turbocharging or supercharging is the process of adding extra air to the engine for a better ignition. Why more lubricating oil is needed in two-stroke engines than four-stroke engines? In case of two-stroke engine, lubricating oil is mixed with fuel, so it burns as fuel burns and consumed more, while in case of four-stroke engine, lubricating oil is placed in separate container and only circulated within the engine. So obviously they are consumed less here. The perfect answer for this question would be: in two-stroke engine, the lubricant is mixed with the fuel. As a result, some of the lubricating oil is blown out with the process of scavenging and getting fresh charge. This phenomena is not seen in four-stroke engine. What is the function of a flywheel? A flywheel controls the speed variations caused by the fluctuation of the engine turning moment during each cycle of operation. A flywheel used in machines serves as a reservoir which stores energy during the period when the supply of energy is more than the requirement, and releases it during the period when the requirement of energy is more than the supply. The answer to this question would be: the main function of the flywheel is to store kinetic energy in the form of moment of inertia. It also reduces the vibration in the engine and produces an even crankshaft rotational speed. In IC engine, which part is known as column? In internal combustion engines, the connecting rod is known as the column. Which one has greater efficiency for the same compression ratio? Diesel engine or petrol engine? As far as bookish knowledge is concerned, well, at both constant heat addition and heat rejection, the Otto cycle will give more thermal efficiency than diesel cycle, as the area under the PV diagram to heat supplied ratio is greater for Otto cycle. But if you look this thing practically, and let's say that compression ratio is 16 for instance, then the petrol engine will not even work, as there will be a huge detonation in it. But diesel engine will run fine and its efficiency will be larger. At, let's say, for compression ratio of 6, the petrol engine will run fine, but diesel engine will not even start, as the auto ignition is not reached. So this efficiency of auto or the petrol engine being greater than diesel works only for the compression ratio below 10 to 12. Other than practically diesel cycle has greater efficiency. So the perfect answer for this question would be on the theoretical basis. For same compression ratio, petrol engine has greater efficiency than diesel engine. Otto cycle or petrol engine cycle rejects lesser heat for the same compression ratio than the diesel engine cycle. That's why it has better efficiency for same compression ratio. However, you must add to this answer that this is a theoretical assumption. In practical sense, you can explain what I have told earlier in the explanation of the question. What causes white smoke in two-stroke locomotive engines? The answer to this question would be, that is the engine running on lack of fuel or in a lean fuel mixture. This condition will lead to overheating and failure of the engine. How does a supercharger work in a car? A supercharger is an air compressor that increases the presence or density of air supplied to an internal combustion engine. This gives each intake cycle of the engine more oxygen, letting it burn more fuel and in turn doing more work and ultimately increasing the power output. The perfect answer to this question would be, a supercharger is used to increase the volume of air dragged into each cylinder per stroke. In combustion engines, there are only two ways to increase power. Firstly, increase the amount of fuel in the engine. Or secondly, increase the amount of air in the engine. What is the difference between hydraulic oil and engine oil? Engine oils contain additives to combat contamination by combustion products. These are not needed in hydraulic oils. The answer to this question would be, hydraulic oils are expected to have very low compressibility and very predictable friction and viscosity stability under pressure. Engine oils are intended to have high resistance to heat, to burning and resistance to absorption of fuel and chemical compounds produced during combustion. What is the difference between turbocharger and supercharger? The earliest superchargers were all driven by power taken from the crankshaft, typically by a gear, belt or a chain. A turbocharger, on the other hand, is simply a supercharger that is powered inside by a turbine in the exhaust stream. The main difference between these devices is that turbocharger exhausts heat from the exhaust gases as a power source, but supercharger uses a part of the engine power to run. Define cross-flow scavenging. In cross-flow scavenging or simply cross-scavenging, the incoming air is directed upward, pushing the exhaust gases before it. The exhaust gases then travel down and out of the exhaust ports. However, this kind of system is obsolete now. they are not in use? The answer to this question would be: in cross-flow scavenging, the inlet port and the outlet port is situated in the opposite sides in the engine cylinder. This type of scavenging is used in two-stroke engines.